The drive to her house was quiet, the hum of my tires the only sound in the thickening night. My heartbeat hadn't slowed since our date ended. There was something intoxicating about her, something I couldn't shake. She had invited me over, her voice soft as the whispering wind, her eyes deeper than the darkness pooling beyond the streetlights. She went into her house as I parked the car. Her house stood alone at the end of a dead-end road, swallowed by trees so gnarled they seemed to be reaching for the windows. It was old, Victorian maybe, its wooden bones creaking under the weight of secrets. A single light flickered behind sheer curtains. The air smelled wrong, like damp earth and something metallic. I stepped onto the porch. The floorboards groaned under my weight, shifting like something alive beneath my feet. My stomach twisted, but I told myself it was the nerves, the anticipation of being alone with her again. I knocked once. The door drifted open on its own. The hallway stretched too far, longer than the house should have allowed. Shadows lurked where light should have reached. The walls pulsed like lungs, the faded wallpaper breathing in and out. The air inside was heavy, thick, pressing against my skin like unseen hands. A picture frame on the wall caught my eye. It held a photo of her, but her eyes were wrong, too black, too deep, like pits leading somewhere I didn't want to go. My throat tightened. Something shifted behind me. I turned, but nothing was there. Footsteps sounded above me, slow, wet, dragging. I should have left, but her scent still lingered in the air, sweet and cloying, laced with decay. I followed the sound up the staircase, each step groaning louder, as if warning me. The walls pressed closer, the shadows twitching, stretching unnaturally. At the end of the hall, a door stood ajar, darkness spilling out like ink. I pushed it open. The room was filled with mirrors. Dozens of them, standing at odd angles, their glass cracked, their surfaces murky. My reflection stared back, but it wasn't quite right. Too slow, too delayed, as if something else was watching from the other side. My breath fogged the nearest mirror. The fog didn't fade. A shape moved in the glass. I spun around, but the room was empty. A cold whisper brushed my ear, though no one was there. My reflection in the mirror behind me twisted, lips peeling back in a grin too wide, teeth too sharp. The glass bulged outward, something pressing from the inside. A hand, pale, skeletal, pressing against the surface, fingers twitching as they tried to claw through. I stumbled back. The floor wasn't wood anymore. It was soft, wet, sinking, rotting flesh. A shrill creak filled the air as all the mirrors trembled. Then, one by one, they shattered. Hands poured out from the shards, grasping, stretching, crawling. They dragged themselves forward, attached to bodies that should not have been. Twisted forms, their limbs bent wrong, their heads lolling at unnatural angles. Their faces were familiar. They were her. Hundreds of her, all wrong, all broken, grinning as they slithered toward me, whispering without voices. I ran. The hallway had stretched impossibly long, the walls closing in, the floor writhing beneath me. The air thickened, congealing like blood, pulling at my legs. Something giggled behind me, high-pitched and wet. The house was alive, its bones shifting, its doors vanishing. I turned corner after corner, but the exit was gone. The walls trembled with laughter, mouths forming in the peeling wallpaper, whispering secrets I didn't want to hear. A hand burst from the ceiling, its fingers clawing at my face. I ducked, stumbling into a room that shouldn't have existed. A nursery. Cribs lined the walls, each filled with something moving beneath the blankets. A mobile spun overhead, the figures dangling from it, nothing but teeth and eyes. The air was thick with the scent of spoiled milk and old blood. Something shifted in the nearest crib. The blanket fell away. It was her again, but smaller, infant-sized, her mouth stretching wide in a silent wail, her fingers twitching unnaturally. Her eyes locked onto mine, and I knew, somehow, impossibly, I knew that she had always been here, waiting. I ran. The house fought back. The doorways twisted, leading me in circles. The air hummed with something ancient, something hungry. The mirrors in the hallway pieced themselves back together, showing not reflections, but windows into something else. Something watching, something waiting. I wasn't supposed to leave. I wasn't supposed to escape. The floor split open beneath me, black tendrils reaching, wrapping around my ankles. They burned, seeping into my skin, whispering memories that weren't mine, sorrow that wasn't mine. The house wanted me, but I wasn't hers. I wasn't theirs. With everything left in me, I lunged forward, grasping at the one thing that still made sense. The door at the end of the hall, flickering in and out of existence. The walls howled as I tore myself free, flesh burning where the house had touched me. I didn't look back. The moment I crossed the threshold, silence fell. The house was gone. I stood in an empty lot, my breath ragged, my skin still burning where the tendrils had reached me. The streetlights flickered. The air smelled normal. The world was real again. And yet, I reached into my pocket. A single shard of mirror lay there, pulsing like a heartbeat. The house wasn't gone. It was waiting.